More pictures from the 50s, the 60s, and 70s. And again, this episode is a little bit about me and who I am. And so I talked about my grandparents. I talked about my roots back in the Midwest. And those grandparents created two incredible people. One is my mom, Betty Rose, and my father, Freeman Rose. And this is a picture of my mom holding me up. And they say a picture sells 1,000 words, words. And there's my mom. And this is clearly a woman that loves her son, right? I mean, she's really an incredible mom. And this is her holding me up. And Mom, we're going to forgive you for the haircut. It was 1972. So the bouffant was the thing then. And I remember hairspray and stuff in her bathroom, and that was the thing. So there's my mom. And she's an incredible, incredible woman. I'll tell you more about Betty Rose soon. She's also been on London Real, as my father has as well. And next, you're going to see a picture of my dad. This is Freeman Rose, and this is him, I think, graduating from Caltech, which is one of the greatest technical schools in the world. I think I got some of my brains from my dad. He got a degree in electronic engineering and a master's degree in 64 and 65, and went on to an incredible career in California in the semiconductor industry. He is one of the smartest guys I've ever met. He's an incredible man. Again, he leads by example. He grew up on the farm, in the fields, driving tractors, and yet he got his degree and became one of the smartest computer scientists and electrical engineers I've ever met. It's an interesting combination when you have parents like that have a solid upbringing from the earth, but also are willing to try to learn and get better all the time. And the older I get, the more I see I'm becoming more like my dad. And honestly, I'll take it. He's a great man, and I'm really proud for that as well. A couple more pictures here. Here's my mom. I think this is my first birthday. Here's a birthday cake. My mom was always big on birthdays. And again, give it a big shout out to my mom's bouffant there with the hair going on. That's next level. And I've got pictures like this from all of my early birthdays. It was a big deal for my mom. She used to make my birthdays a big deal. And I had some incredible support growing up, and it was great. So thank you, Mom, for that. Fast forward to today. This is a picture I took of my mom. I think we had her 75th birthday. And this is a picture of me and Mom. We went to Europe. We met all of my brother and sister, and this is a selfie. And as you can see, Betty Rose still out there crushing it. My mom is an incredible, incredible woman. And she's out there. She's a businesswoman. She has properties in San Diego that she runs, that she bought herself based on jobs. I remember she bought these properties 30, 40 years ago and invested in her future, and that's what allows her to travel around the world. So she's just an incredible woman. And I want to tell you a little bit about my childhood growing up, because I had, one of these American childhoods. Mom and dad, we had 3 kids. Here's a picture of me, my brother, and my sister. So this is my family, and that's my sister, Andrea, my brother, Eric, and that's me. My sister changed her name to Claire later. And those are the 3 of us, and that's us at our address in San Diego at Calle Leticia. That's probably around 73 or 74. And we had this beautiful kind of family growing up, and everything was great until I turned 7 years old. And that's when my parents got divorced. And for me at 7, I took that really hard. My brother was 9, my sister was 3, and they took it really differently. But for me, it was a really difficult thing. And I don't know why. Maybe it's because something I assumed would be there, which is my family structure and my mom and dad, suddenly got taken away from me. And I felt really alone. I felt like I might not be able to ever trust anybody. And I felt like I had to be super self-reliant the rest of my life. And so I turned into this kind of self-reliant beast. And I also, probably in retrospect, didn't allow a lot of people to come into my emotional space because I thought maybe they would leave or split up in the future. And so it left me in this kind of state, but it also left me with this incredible single mother, my mom, Betty Rose. And she became super mom. I mean, seriously, my mom became the most super mom in the world. And she took us 3 kids on this incredible adventure. She took us around the world. And here's a picture of the 3 of us in Japanese kimonos. And this isn't some picture you take down at the photo mat around the corner. This is us literally in Japan, I think. And she decided she was going to take us around the world. And this is us in Japanese kimonos. And I went and lived in Japan for a couple summers with a Japanese family. It was incredible. I lived in a city called Odawara, Japan. My mom took me everywhere. She took me to Hong Kong. She took me to Hawaii. She took me to Europe. She took me to Washington, D.C. to see the Smithsonian Museum. She took me up the coast of California to the Hearst Castle. She took me camping. We hated camping. She did this all on a budget. She was always counting the pennies. She made me read books. She encouraged me to work hard in school. She took me to visits of colleges. She took me to Cornell. She took me to the University of Chicago. She took me to MIT when I was 17. And again, one of the most incredible mothers in the world. And if it wasn't for her taking all of us kids to Europe when I was 16 years old, I probably wouldn't be here in London. And so she was an incredible mom that did a really, really difficult job. And it's hard enough raising kids. I have them now, let alone to do it alone. So big shout out to Betty Rose. She's an incredible woman. She's really is no joke. She's impressive. And I used to butt heads with my mom as a kid. It was me and my mom arguing with each other. I was a really difficult kid because I was trying to, I don't know, be somebody. And my mom fought back. She threw me out of the house one time for a year. She always laid down the rules and laid down the guidelines, and it probably created the man you see today. And so a little bit more about my childhood. I loved science. I loved math. I was really good at it. So I was big into science fairs. And this is a picture of me creating one of my science fair projects. I think this is the one I went on to place, I think, second in the California State Science Fair. But this is me building a cathode ray tube. This is actually in a vacuum. My dad made me wear that visor because the whole thing could have exploded at any moment. And there's like electronic circuitry in the side. I mean, I don't know what I was thinking. That's a vacuum pump on the bottom right. And this is me later graduating from MIT with my degree in mechanical engineering. Again, I got all this probably from my dad, even though I'm nowhere near as smart as my dad. But I kind of combine this love of science. And so that's a little bit about me growing up, a few details that maybe you didn't know before. In London.